Welcome back, friends, to another edition of our Money Mindset series. This time we have Nicole Barham, who's going to be talking about the importance of staying on top of your money. Something simple, right? Yes, something we almost never do, especially as new entrepreneurs. Now, if we haven't met yet, my name is Lindsay Johnson, the Radical Connector, and I'm here to show you just how simple it is to build a business. For more super simple business advice that's easy to implement and most of the time free, I want you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell so you're alerted when I go live with new videos every Monday and Thursday. Now, let's head over to our interview with Nicole and hear what she has to say about money mindset and why it's important to stay on top of your money. Welcome, everybody, to this very special interview with Nicole Barham. Nicole, hi.
Hi, Lindsay.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited that you're here. Friends, Nicole and I connected up randomly, last month when I put a request out to all the money mindset experts out there in our communities on Facebook, because I wanted to bring some of the best to come and talk to you about money mindset. And voila, welcome, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. So before we dive into today's topic, I would love for you to give a little bit of a sneak peek to folks that are listening into who you are and why you are in the world of finance and money mindset.
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I am Nicole Barham, a finance coach. And I got into this becoming a finance coach because I started my career in accounting and finance, and I've always been in that world. But I never really focused too much on my personal finances. I focused a lot on my employer's finances. I did that as my job, but my finances at home were not really in order. And so it took a lot of years of racking up debt, filing bankruptcy, which was one of the lowest points of my life. And so I figured that, you know what, in order to get myself out of this, I need to be able to not only focus on my employer's finances, but on my own finances as well. Mm-hmm. And that's how I kind of started. And I figured after I did it for myself and how well it worked, I knew where all my money was going. I figured I could also help other people like myself who were having challenges, other entrepreneurs who had challenges staying on top of their finances.
I love that. And it's you don't often hear of somebody whose their specialty is finance say that this came from a place of bankruptcy and this really extreme low point. But of course, it's also in a lot of ways not a big jump, not a big leap, because most entrepreneurs are doing what they do because they've had to learn this.
Absolutely.
Do you think that had a big factor for you in sort of saying, okay, I went through it and it was really hard and I developed this skill set and this mindset, time to share that with the world?
Absolutely. And that's the only way that I believe that I was able to do that. I had to tell my story, and I had to help other people see that, it can be overwhelming. It can be hard. But at the end of the day, finances are really, really important. And unfortunately, we leave that for last. Yeah. And because we leave that for last, then it doesn't get the attention it needs. And then, you end up in trouble. Yeah. End up racking up a lot of debt that we don't know about. So yeah, I figure that, you know what, if I learn this lesson, I want to teach as many entrepreneurs as possible how to start taking care of it now instead of waiting later.
And tell them it's a problem. And that is a reality for a lot of entrepreneurs. When we start businesses, we're thinking more about the technical skills of what we do and how to get clients and marketing. And so, you know what I mean? We don't think about, I'm also now my company's CFO. I'm also now responsible to the government and a lot of people in regarding my finances and also my taxes. It's taxes is a big part of it, but it's also, like you say, other financial ramifications that we have to take seriously. And as you just said, is often the last thing we think about.
Yeah,
and that right, exactly. So I'm cutting you off because I'm not even gonna let you talk, because I'm just gonna literally segue that in and then let you talk, because that is why you're here, to talk about the importance of staying on top of your finances. And I know that you're gonna share with us some of the things at a deeper level of what we just said. So I'm gonna sit back. I got my pen. I'm gonna probably take some notes, and I would love for you to share with us what you have prepared on why it's so important to stay on top of your finances.
Yeah, well, the first thing that I want to talk about in terms of staying on top of our finances and managing finances is that when we leave, when we allow our finances to quote unquote get out of control, it's kind of hard to reel it in when it's too late, like in
Mm.
my case. And so let's talk about taxes. You mentioned taxes, Lindsay. Let's talk about that. So I have a lot of my clients who come to me at tax season. And they come and they're like, oh my goodness, I have no idea how much I spent in my business. I don't know. I'm not prepared for my taxes. My tax preparer is waiting. The deadline is coming. I need to get this together. And so they kind of stress me out a little bit because I now have to pull all their receipts, all their statements, and then we kind of have to backtrack.
Mm.
If you're backtracking, 9 times out of 10, you have no clue how much you're spending and what you're spending on. Um, and that's not good business practice for your business. Because if you are, backtracking into your finances, then you are not planning for your money. And so you might end up spending more than you thought you were spending. Usually we spend more than we think. We spend more than we think and we save less than we think. So
Why do you think that is? What do you think the disconnect comes from?
I think people just underestimate money. Like we talk about when you're swiping a card, you might feel like, because you're doing the math in your head, but you're not really, because if you spend $150, you're thinking closer to 100 than 200,
I was going to say we round down.
Yeah. We round down the spending, but we round up the savings, right? Or the profit.
Well, and it's funny. Like I remember reading a meme or something somewhere that said, if I added up all those, it's only $10 purchases. Like I would have a lot of money in the bank over a lifetime.
Yes, absolutely. Because we always think $9.50, we think, oh, it's just $9, but it's literally almost $10.
Yeah.
And if you do that every single day, then it racks up, So yeah, I usually say you're ahead of the curve. If you're ahead of the game and you can actually be the captain of your money ship, instead of just waiting until the end and then you're surprised because you thought you made more profit or you thought you had more savings. Let's talk a little bit about personal expenses as well, or personal finances, because you can't have business without personal finances, especially as a solopreneur. Sometimes they overlap because we are kind of taking out of personal to cover some business and vice versa. So if we are not, not knowing how much is coming in and how much is going out in both personal and business finances, then it's kind of difficult to stay ahead of that. And then later on, you have to kind of do some damage control. And unfortunately, sometimes it's too late.
Yeah. And that's when you, like you say, you find yourself in real hot water.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you recommend that? Like, do you have just a quick tip on how people can start to become more aware of that?
Absolutely. And I know that usually the traditional advice is that you start a budget. But I think starting a budget is like telling somebody who's eating burger and fries today that they have to eat salads and smoothies tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like you can't just not have a budget and then all of a sudden you have a budget. Yeah. It's that resistance that's going to not make you succeed. So the first thing that I say is, instead of starting a budget, just start tracking where all your money goes, how much you're spending, how much is coming in. Just simple. Open an Excel spreadsheet, start putting how much is coming in, how much is going out, and then you're aware. Just being more aware of where you're spending, more intentional with your money, directing your money. Just seeing how much is coming in and going out is the first step, I think.
Can I interject for 1 second?
Sure.
Because I know that there will be people who will be resistant to that because there's a lot of nervousness around that, or shame or guilt or fear of the unknown, and they won't want to face it. Do you encounter that with your own finance coach clients?
Yeah, I do. And I tell a lot of people that you are either going to, be uncomfortable now or uncomfortable later. We did not want to look at our money, and we ended up in bankruptcy court and sitting in front of that judge. And, it's just, you're in a room with other people and they're talking about you and your finance. Like, it was so painful for us that if we had used, if I'd used my training to know where my money was going and planning better, then I would not have gone there. And so what I'm doing is using my experience to tell you that you're going to either feel the pain now or later.
Yeah.
So I think it's better to just face it now so that you can be happier later.
100%. It's like, I think about like going to the dentist, I had a lot of really traumatic experiences growing up with the dentist. And so I was so afraid as an adult to go, and I didn't go for a very long time. And I had what started out as just a small little cavity that would have been so simple to fix turn into a full-on root canal. And it's like, if I would have just had that moment of discomfort and also that moment of bravery and courage to do that hard thing and that scary thing in that moment, years before, it wouldn't have, devolved into this massive financial thing, painful thing, and like physically traumatic thing. And it's that same kind of thing. Would you rather have a little discomfort now or a really big problem later? And that is probably that entrepreneurial maturity as well that comes into play.
Yes, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, if you are an entrepreneur, finances are extremely important in your like if you're a serious entrepreneur and you want to make money, you have to look at your money. Otherwise, you'll have no idea what, where it's going, how much you're making. So it's a no-brainer to have your finances in order as an entrepreneur. And I liked your analogy, Lindsay, about the root canal, because you fix this little thing and later on you avoid this big, traumatic situation.
Right. Yeah. So you had mentioned earlier about like the tax time scramble, and I want to get back to the business and personal finance as well, because I think that's something, that commingling, that can get us really tripped up. And let's come back to that. But, when you talk about this tax time scramble, should somebody find themselves unprepared come tax time, do you have like a favorite tip that you like to share to help calm some of that anxiety and get them on the right track?
Absolutely. And the good thing is that we are now in July. And so you have a little time. If you're the kind of entrepreneur who's, not keeping track of anything, it's never too late to start. Yeah. And the earlier you start, there was a saying that the best time to start is January 1st. Yeah. The next best time to start is now, because you don't want to wait until April 15th, right? So I think just pulling everything together, just putting your receipts. You don't have to write anything down yet. Just putting all your categorizing all your business finances, because I know for sure that you might have some business purchases on a personal card. It's mixed in with all your groceries and all your dining and stuff like that. And it's even harder at the end of the year to get all of that together when you have to download all these bank statements and credit card statements. So I say start putting little by little, make a plan to start even a month at a time. Just start, categorizing those. Yeah. The next thing that I would say is try to put everything on one business card, business banking card, business credit card. Start streamlining. Even though it's 7 months into the year, you can still start streamlining right now, so that the last half of the year is a lot easier than the first half. Well,
and really what I'm hearing you say is it's about habits as well. Like whether it's a month at a time, you know what I mean? Like once you begin to develop those habits, you won't have to think as much about it. You won't run into those same problems. You will know exactly where your finances are at, your business finances are at, and how much you're really spending and how much you're really making. Yeah. And it's not, if you're somebody who hasn't been doing it as well as you could be up until now, it's not a lost cause. Let's just start small, step by step, and work our way towards catching up, so that in 2021, you've got a nice little system to be able to play with.
Absolutely. And then in one of my programs, a 5-minute bookkeeper that I created for entrepreneurs for that exact reason, because I was being bombarded during the year. Everything's, kind of quiet, or everything's regular. But then at tax time, I have to turn people away because they were not tracking, and now they need me to do 12 months of tracking for them. Yeah. And so that's why I started to say, how can I help them out by creating something that will, you can start using today, and then you won't be so overwhelmed by the end of the year.
So what, in terms of the if you have the finance coach hat on, because we talked a lot of really technical things today, what is your favorite sort of like feel good piece of advice as a finance coach that you have for folks listening?
Okay, so one of the things I tell my clients and everyone who has ear to listen that I'm not like any finance coach that they know. I'm not the restrictive person to say, start cutting this out, don't do this, do that. I'm not that kind of person. I believe in balance.
Yeah.
And I believe that you can still be happy whether or not you have debt, or if you were not staying on top of your finances. And I don't shame people into getting their act together.
Yeah.
It's easier to get people to do what they should do if you nudge them gently, and if you ease them into it. So my advice is always very customized to my clients, and also very not too harsh, not to cut everything out. You need to do this, you need to be the strict, like some of the other finance coaches and advisors out there. So I would say that my approach is very non-traditional, but also that's really, really good results.
But it's also, sorry, it's really, really good what?
Results.
Good results. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. This has been really awesome, Nicole. Thank you so much for coming on and just giving us a little bit of an insight into why it's important to stay on top of our finances, and also that it doesn't have to be painful. It might be a little uncomfortable if you're not used to looking at your numbers and there's a bit of fear there, but it's worth it. And it doesn't have to be a cut this and a slash that and a hardcore budget. Like, let's just get started. Let's just get writing our numbers down and start tracking it and understanding it, and let that momentum build as our own comfortability and our own skill level builds. And then for those that are like, okay, I know me and I know I need some support and someone to hold my hand through this, how can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. And I usually run 4 to 6 week coaching programs to help those exact same people who are like, you know what, I will not do this on my own. I need someone to hold my hand, to be there for me. It's called a 5-minute bookkeeper. And that is mostly geared towards entrepreneurs who want to get their finances in order before the next tax season. You can find that at my website, NicoleBarham.com. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Nicole Barham 2. Those are the 2 places that I think is best to contact me.
I love it. And that of course is in the description. So you can scroll on down to the description, click that link, and then go into Nicole's world and see what she's got planned for you. This has been wonderful. Thank you everybody so much for watching and for listening today. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us and bringing a piece of your wisdom. This has been an absolute delight. And that's it from us now. We'll say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this interview with me and Nicole. I want you to comment below and tell me the biggest aha you took away from what Nicole had to share. If you want more business building advice, make sure you click the link below and sign up for my free mini course or business building basics every new entrepreneur needs to know. For more support and free training and to hang out with Nicole, come and join my community on Facebook, Rad Connectors. Link is below. Now I have 2 more videos lined up for you. The first one is how imposter syndrome is causing you to undercharge in your business. The second one is how you might be getting in your own way to earning more. If I haven't covered something that you want me to talk about, please leave it in the comments below. Remember to like this video, share it with your business besties, and until next time, friends, happy connecting. I'm going to see you online.